Deputy U.S. Marshal Boyd.
Givens, Ryland.
The infamous Boyd Crowder.
Either you let me go, or I'm gonna have to give you the slip.
I love this shit. It makes me hard.
Just happen to be driving by, huh?
No, I put a motion detector in.
Last I checked, you were a marshal too.
And as a lawman,
I'm suspended.
And then you go all railing on him and drag him out of some restaurant by his nutsack.
They underestimate me at their peril.
Him? People underestimate Bob at their peril. I got mad ninja skills, buddy.
Yeah, you know karate.
And 2 other Japanese words. There is one thing I wander back to. We dug coal together.
Hello, and welcome to an AFR and FDH collab, where today we are starting something very exciting. We've been looking forward to this for years, for quite a while. We didn't think we were going to get it. But today, myself, Rick Morris, come to you to break down Justified, City Primeval. So we've literally been waiting this long for it to come out and be a thing, and now today we're going to get into it. So, I want to take a moment and introduce Mr. Rick Morris.
Thank you, Jason. Very psyched to be here for this. And again, anybody looking at you can see with your hat, me with my outfit as per usual for the Red Wings. I've even got my stuffed Red Wings, my octopus here. It's a Detroit theme, so we're dressing for the occasion. At least that's what I say as an excuse to dress in Red Wings paraphernalia, which I do all the time.
I was going to say, I don't know that we need to give you an excuse for that, but
that's true. Yes.
I do enjoy that we took that direction, and that will be an ongoing theme throughout.
And I know we're going to make the Justified fans happy, as we did, covering Season 5 and Season 6 in 2014 and 2015 in the FDH Lounge. We did those in real time. We're doing our own analysis here in real time of Episodes 1 and 2 of City Primeval. And again, there's nothing quite like the immediacy of the post-game show, so to speak. This is one of the things we first envisioned with the start of the FDH Lounge back in 2007. We were talking about this, about possibly doing some TV events and live analysis. The entire premise of the FDH Lounge was to do that, was to treat everything like we analyze sports. And you're doing an excellent job with that with the AFR brand as well. So it's great to be able to come together again, put the band back together, break down Justified. It's been way too long, buddy. They should have brought this to us earlier.
Oh, absolutely. And I have to, we can't go any further without me mentioning this. And this is probably true for anyone in Rick Morris's immediate circle. When Rick Morris recommends a show, watch it. Because Rick, yes, you were hitting me for Justified for, I believe, at least 2 seasons, maybe 3. And I just kept, I was doing what everybody else was doing. You read the synopsis and you're like, U.S. Marshal in Kentucky, backwoods hollers, just in my thing. Justified, not what we're about to do, but the original series, I still, in 2023, say is one of the top 5 best all-around dramas to come out in the last 20 years, at minimum. We can have an argument or discussion about where it falls in line with things like, The Wire and Sopranos and stuff like that. But even it's right after that. If we want to accept that there are 3 or 4 shows that are everyone's top 5, Justified is right after that. And we're going to get into some of the differences, because there are differences. But this absolutely is something that we've both been very excited about, waiting for a very long time.
Yes.
So very excited to bring this to you. And like you mentioned, Rick, we are going to try to do this as consistently to the post-game vibe as possible. That's why, I hate to do it to you, but it's why it's 1 o'clock in the morning where you are and you're doing this. So,
well, why FX did it this way, I have no idea. I mean, the business model appears to be they're acting like, we're getting a sneak preview of a Hulu show that's going up tomorrow. It's like 12:30 in the East. Like what is this, Monday Night Football circa 2006? I don't understand what we're doing. And by the way, too, as far as the roots of you watching Justified, it's mildly kind of depressing that we still have to kayfabe what this is a part of years later, but I don't think we're going to have to kayfabe it for too much longer. Long story short, a writing project here, and you had an idea for a character, and you said to me that you would like to base the character off of Mark Harmon, and I said to you at the time, I said, make it Jacob Pitts. He plays kind of like a young Mark Harmon on this show. I sent you one clip, and you not only bent it in that direction on this writing project, you were hooked. You were like, I have to watch Justified now because of this Tim Gutterson, who was a side character in Justified. But he hooked you on that, and it was just like, I didn't think one recommendation like that for a character thing on a writing project could possibly have made you a Justified fan for life, and it did. Yeah. That's an amazing story.
Yeah, no, what's interesting about that is specifically to Gutterson, he's in what, maybe a third of the episodes?
Probably.
But it's one of those things that when you see that character and the way he just sort of floats through the scene, and I don't remember exactly what it was. Was it the apricot scene?
You shoot me, you're going to be spending the rest of the night cleaning up baby guts all over that fireplace there.
Jess.
Yeah?
Jess, you ever hear of a spot snipers call the apricot? It's where the brainstem meets the spine. Hit a fella there, he ain't going to pull no trigger. It's just lights out.
Oh, well, you telling me you're that good?
Me.
Really? This is how this is going to go.
Show me yours.
It was, it was in Art Mullen's office. I can't carry a tune. I can't dribble a basketball.
The basketball thing.
AUSA has determined that the shooting of Jess Timmons was good.
No surprise there.
A hell of a shot. Did you consider what might have happened if you'd missed?
Can't carry a tune. I don't know how to shoot a basketball, and my handwriting is barely legible. But I don't miss.
I don't miss. That's the thing. That hooked you for life, buddy.
Yeah.
I sent you this. I just wanted you to have the flavor of Tim Gutterson / Jacob Pitts. You saw this, and you were hooked, and you needed to watch Justified, and you fell down the rabbit hole. And then you caught up through season 4, and then I was like, hey, when it comes back, let's be doing this. And you came up with the idea of, we're going to do it. Let's go live. Let's do it right afterwards. Well, we recorded live anyways. So we're recording live now. And yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful thing. We went through it, and it's a thing where, and as we go through and we break this down, I mean, we admittedly are very big fanboys, but it's a thing where I think at the time with season 5, there were some analysis pieces out there that we took issue with because of the nature of the harshness. But I mean, and clearly in retrospect, season 5, that's the one everybody kind of puts at the bottom of their season lists for Justified. We hope that season 6 would get better. I think it was arguably the best. To me, it's between 6 and 4. But and I think 2 is very close behind. But it's a thing where we're not going to be afraid, we're not going to be fearful of elements of this, of mentioning that. There's fanboy shows that will and that won't do that. And we're not going to be ones that shy away from that. And we're not going to be gratuitous, I don't think, because we're not bashers. We love the franchise, but sometimes you point out things in the betterment of hopefully the franchise taking a better direction in the next episode or the next stretch or whatever the case may be. And along these lines, I do have a thought, and this is one that I had teased to you off air, that I think may prove a little bit surprising to you, because, again, I'm not generally a Pollyanna about such things, but one of the things we picked up on with City Primeval, 2 big things jumping out here, and they are language and they are sexual content. And as far as the sex scene that we saw relatively early on in the pilot, and the language that consistently has gone in there. Now, as you said to me off air, it wasn't Raylan himself dropping F-bombs, which would be a little bit jarring. The only concern that I have, and it's pretty clear this is going to be the case probably throughout the rest of the season. We're already a quarter of the way through the season, if you can believe it. It's 8 episodes. We've seen 2 now. That I'm always concerned when there's anything that I love that I want more people to be able to see is if it's going to be off-putting. And I hope it doesn't potentially narrow the appeal too much. I mean, you might broaden the appeal. Clearly, they're thinking they're going to broaden the appeal in some ways, and it's very interesting. We talked off air. FX at the time owned by Fox, now it's owned by Disney. You wouldn't think it would make much of a difference in standards and practices, but clearly it has. Clearly they're being a little bit more liberalized here on this. I've also noticed that Sony has had a little bit more liberal use of language in recent years as well. So that's maybe an overall thing with FX in recent years. I just hope that it doesn't make it more of a niche product than it might already otherwise be.
No, it's a very valid concern, actually. There's a balance to be struck there, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is, and I've got a great analogy that's not going to make any sense.
Okay.
You ready? One of my favorite, like, you can call it a guilty pleasure movie, but even people within those circles believe it to be one of the greatest parody movies, if not one of the best Star Trek movies, and that's Galaxy Quest.
Okay.
Tim Allen, Alan Rickman. It's literally a parody of a Star Trek film. It's very, very, very solid. Now, for anyone that's seen that, there's a moment in the last 10 minutes where Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver are running through the belly of this ship trying to find this thing. And because the premise of the movie is that aliens found the broadcast and assumed that it was real and then made technology to make it real. So they're running through this, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on that makes no sense. And Sigourney Weaver says, why is all this here? Why are we doing this? And literally drops an F-bomb. Well, the studio wanted this to be like a Tim Allen Santa Claus movie. They thought it was going to be silly and for kids and stuff. So they said, you got to take the F out. But to kind of stick it to them, they took the F out, but you can see her say, and there's a documentary about this movie. It's wonderful. It's just a little over an hour. Anyway, they talked to the cast about the version that we didn't get. That it was a little bit more profanity. And every last one of them basically looked dead in the camera and said, if that F-bomb prevents people from watching it, it's not worth having.
They cut all these scenes to make it a kid-friendly movie.
And then they just said, okay, well, now it's Christmas, it's PG, it's Tim, just finish it.
There's like infamously that moment where Sigourney Weaver is like, she just goes like, F this, but they put screw in her mouth.
It's hilarious. And obviously we didn't even cover it. Like, we didn't even try not to do it.
Man, I just want that director's cut, man, because we cussed through that whole movie.
I acknowledge that Sigourney Weaver saying F in that moment instead of screw would have been funnier. If that limits the movie in any way, is the joke worth it?
I got to give them credit on the fact of when they cut all the profanity out of that movie. It worked.
If you do something that prevents people from watching, that's a negative move. And that there is a sense that I'm a little bit worried that that's what this is going to become.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we were saying off air, if this becomes a thing where there's 5 or 6 F-bombs an episode, or not that I minded, but if we're getting sort of gratuitous sexual activity, eventually it is going to start phasing people out.
Yeah.
Especially if they came up in the original series.
Yeah. They're going to be like, you know, what's this? The thing that was supposed to be the reboot on Skinamax? I mean, I don't want it to be getting to be that kind of a vibe here, but you know, it is interesting in that sense. Again, similarities and differences, and you and I had talked about this. That again, the Judge character maybe weird in some ways, kind of like, you know, the Stephen Root Judge character, Judge Mike Reardon from Justified, and again, great character actors in both instances, because Stephen Root is like first ballot Hall of Fame in this, and this other gentleman, Mr. David here, is not far behind, if at all.
I heard you both on this ad freaking nauseum. We're here to lay out the ground rules of behavior in my courtroom, and I'm warning you. Anyone, either side, gets out of line, I will clamp down on you like a bear trap on a chicken leg. Court security honcho said his team checked my courtroom, but his team's a bunch of geezers.
They're all retired marshals.
And they're all well past their sell-by date. I'd appreciate it if you'd give it a look-see. No. Tensions are running high here, Deputy, and I don't want to know if I bring my gavel down, I don't set off some kind of incendiary device, hurry us all along to our maker.
Your Honor, the prosecution would like to ask for a continuance.
What the hell for?
Well, in light of the recent events.
Events? You mean that someone tried to blow me up this morning? I want everyone here to get one thing straight right now. I have thrived in this racist-ass city and this racist-ass system for over 30 years. Gonna take more than a car bomb to keep me from meting out justice. Now, are we all clear?
The man we caught in the woods today told us his buddy ain't trying to kill you because you put him away. Or out of some misguided notion of patriotism. He
says you banged his mother.
Let's talk in my study.
You had mentioned that first. That these two feel like they might be, not necessarily that they're similar, but that from a direction standpoint, they both looked at this and said, we need a character that's just a little bit out of place.
Yes.
That just feels a little bit off as a judge. And until his demise, I was actually really, I don't want to say impressed, but I really liked what Keith David was doing with that judge character.
Yes. I mean, he's an excellent one. Like, and it's funny because like you texted me like when he came on, and I'm like, I knew you'd pop for that guy. Like when he was on there, like I couldn't go for that. Like we know each other so well on these things, and it's just a great fit for the show.
I don't expect you to have an answer for this, but do you have any idea where the Keith David thing started for me?
I don't.
He is the original voice of Goliath from the animated cartoon Gargoyles.
What are you?
My kind have no names, but you humans call me Goliath.
Your kind? You mean there's more than one of you?
Barely.
He was the father in Something About Mary, where he's trying to get the twigs and berries back in, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, that's it.
I got it stuck. You got what stuck? Oh! Well, how the hell did you get the beans above the fry?
So, yeah, he's got a wonderful list of credits.
Right.
And I've liked almost everything he's ever done. I would say the only time I didn't like him, and it's totally beholden to the plot of the story, is he was the, Players Association rep in the movies The Replacements. You only see him in the first couple minutes. But he's the one that's talking about the incoming scabs.
I am down here in our nation's capital to remind the football fans that what these owners are doing is absolutely unconscionable. They have blatantly gone out and hired scabs.
And that's the thing, I mean, both of those guys, both him and Stephen Root, you could sort of put them in the category of, since we're talking prestige TV here with a show like this, of sort of being, each of them, kind of like the Bryan Cranston of character actors, because both of those guys have such a range of things that they can do. Cranston, Meryl Streep, again, there's so few that can go outside their wheelhouse. Like I always talk about this, like with Aaron Paul, with that. Like, I enjoyed him greatly.
They're so close.
Yes. Since we're talking about Hulu here, The Path. I watched him on The Path, and it was excellent. But it was like an Aaron Paul type character. Like
you were getting dangerously close.
Okay.
Dangerously, and I was waiting for it.
Okay.
I was expecting a Bob Odenkirk reference there.
Bob Odenkirk, oh yeah. Yeah. And that's, well, and again, you wouldn't have said that about him before Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but now you would.
No. I would not have.
And what movies he's been in the last couple of years. I can't think of the names of all of them, but, you know, he's been in movies that have really kind of showed his range and kind of expanded there. So Odenkirk's another guy. And again, I'm a huge mark for his, as somebody from that franchise, and to see these guys in the universe of Justified is quite a thing, as it is to see Timothy Oliphant's real-life daughter playing his daughter in her cinematic debut. I know you were kind of blown away when I mentioned that to you before we started watching, and it's a thing where I've already read one review. I was glancing at a review while the setup was being done here, and there was, I think it was on IGN, and they kind of bagged on her a little bit, like, she seems a little wooden and everything like that. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, she's supposed to play kind of an awkward teen. I thought she nailed it. I mean, it's, how polished is she supposed to be in that role? As far as it goes with Raylan and Winona, they got the daughter they deserved. Because those two, each of them with a wild hair up their ass, they got the pain in the ass daughter they deserve, Jason. I think we can all agree with that.
I mean, I didn't get that at all. Like, just riffing off the review.
Mm-hmm.
I got no sense of that.
Yeah.
Because, yes, while you're watching her, and she's got some mannerisms, they're acting choices.
Sure.
So, yes, before I get there, yes, there's a part of you, if you're watching and you have an understanding for Justified before that, you're watching her behaviors, and to your point, you are saying absolutely that is Raylan and Winona's kid.
Yes.
Without question.
Yes.
Now, what's interesting, I find it curious that you mentioned the review, because there's a point later in the second episode where she's just in the hotel room, doesn't like the news she's gotten, and she kind of does this fall back onto the bed. And I had a moment where I thought, somebody's going to rip this girl, the actor, and at this moment, I don't think she could play it better.
You stay on the premises.
What if I want to go out?
When I suggest you get off your phone and go outside, I get rolled eyes, but now you want to go out.
Teenage girls are complicated.
Wherever you want in the building, but you stay on the grounds. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Details are beginning to emerge in the shocking murder last night of Judge Alvin Guy and an unnamed Wayne County Court employee.
It's a mystery that has people on edge in our city.
I don't get it. I mean, and that's the thing where I think it's nitpicky. I don't want to assign any kind of motive to it. I don't want to say that like the person was necessarily being mean or anything. Like you, I don't agree with the take because again, there's a thing where here's the thing. If she was a little bit older, if it was like, let's say she's playing like as a 21-year-old, that's the thing where you expect a little bit more polish in the role because somebody should be a little more polished at that age. She's playing a somewhat awkward teenager and somebody who's, kind of a smart ass and everything like that. Like, are we really going to say that, like, are you supposed to play Meryl Streep at that age? Because if you are, you're not nailing the role right. You're not nailing the character. I mean, that's better to play an awkward teen than somebody that's a teen in real life and may or may not be awkward, or probably at least knows people who are, or could get coached on it. So I didn't agree with that part of it. And it's as far as like you could picture, both of the parents here when you look at her and some of the trouble they got into, you can absolutely picture that.
If Timothy Oliphant's daughter is playing sort of, as we're talking about characters that are sort of a similar vein, if she was supposed to play an Ava type, who's in her mid-20s, then it should be done differently. But the one part that really got me with the daughter and the relationship, and there's a part of me that has got to believe that what we saw is the result of the chemistry when father and daughter are acting in the same space. But when, and again, we're talking about the second episode now, when Clemens is sitting with his daughter, and Raylan knows this is not good.
Yeah.
And he basically says, okay, I need you to leave and go to the hotel room now. There's a look that Raylan gives her that is so beautiful, such a good acting stroke.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks little Oliphant has gotten that look before in real life.
For the first time in your life, just say, yes, Dad.
You know, you did a great job. She's very sweet. And you are a tough man to track down, Raylan. Took me 3 whole tries to find the right hotel.
Yes.
So that just added to the whole, not the mystery, because we know who she is, but just that dynamic that you believe 100% that that's Raylan's daughter.
Yeah.
Period.
And then Clement, when he was when they were outside the hotel and he made the crack about if we were in Kentucky, I'd be tapping that ass right now. Well, it could have been a little method acting on those punches.
You know, she is a little young for my taste, but if this were Kentucky, I'd be tapping that ass. Whew. Chicken fat.
I see you near my daughter again. I'll kill you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is something that goes back to Justified.
Yep.
Is there are moments like when Constable Pat Oswalt has been messed up because he let the bad guys go to town because he wasn't going to roll over on Raylan. When Raylan figures that out, there's a moment where you believe in your soul that Raylan Givens is altered by the news he just heard.
I don't know who you're talking about. All
Drew,
right?
I'm talking about Drew.
Drew, the doctor on TV?
Tell me where Drew is.
Like Nancy Drew? Drew Baca.
Where is he? Drew, Mama.
Bob, we gotta move. You able to walk?
Why don't you carry me? How would you carry me?
Again, as we're talking about similarities, there are things here that cross over a little bit, and it's fantastic.
Right.
But I will say that, and this is, have you seen John Wick?
I haven't, so the references are lost on me. I don't know the franchise.
You don't need to watch it. I do think that when you get some free time, you might want to binge the whole movie series. Okay. This is another movie where people told me, you gotta watch it. And I'm like, it's Keanu Reeves killing people. Like, how great is that? It's actually pretty freaking great. When Clement says the Kentucky bit about your daughter and the age and tapping that ass, my immediate thought was, you are threatening John Wick's dog right now.
That nobody is John Wick.
All of this for what? Because of a puppy?
Your son took that from me.
So, if you're going to attack Raylan Givens' daughter, or God forbid if Winona or somebody else comes up in the mix, I'm going to have the same feeling every time.
Right.
Raylan is going to go roughshod over whoever is threatening his daughter.
The real 50,000-foot view here is bad guy who comes along, kills the judge that they were investigating the previous attack on, and now all this other stuff that he's done is potentially going to be coming to light, and then he's there at the end of the episode. So